Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'm going to share with you a short history lesson and a trivia question. In honor of the senator from the 21st, I want to make you aware of how Washington, D.C. became Washington, D.C. My name is Burns. We trace our family back to Scotland, to the Burness clan, which means by a stream or a brook, a burn. It was changed the name of the spelling several times. B-U-R-N-E-S was the spelling at the time that Washington, D.C. was created. My great-great-great-great-grandfather was David Burns. He inherited what is now Washington, D.C. from his grandfather, a first-generation immigrant Scotsman. Burns served as a second lieutenant in the 1st Maryland Brigades of the Continental Army in the Revolutionary War. After the war, Burns and his family lived in a cottage in what is now the National Mall. In the late 18th century, Burns and 14 other landowners negotiated with George Washington to sell their land to the government for the creation of what is now the city of Washington, D.C. President Washington commonly referred to Burns as the obstinate Mr. Burns for his shrewd and bold negotiating style. Burns and Washington and other landowners came to terms in 1791, completing the sale. The former Burns land, it was 600 acres on the Potomac River, includes all or part of what is now the White House, the Treasury Building, the Eclipse, the Washington Monument, and most of the Washington Mall. In subsequent years, the Burns family changed their spelling to B-U-R-N-S. Some of them moved to Georgia, and I was one of those. So, here's the history lesson. This is the oldest cottage in Washington, D.C., the Burns Cottage. And the trivia question is, when someone says, where did Washington receive the lands to create Washington, D.C., it was the Burns Farm. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.